Deep Threat Sports Network fans, we are back tonight with another review episode, and it was one hell of a weekend of college football. We had a lot of teams come down to some nut cutters, some teams looking like they were no longer going to be in the playoff conversation. I mean, this was like make or break weekend. Tons of Saturday scaries for a lot of these football teams just scraping by. Tonight with me, I have no one, and it's just no one and I tonight, but we're going to give you nothing short of some great content to go ahead and cover all the bases here after a great weekend of college football. Nolan, did you get some eyes on college football this weekend, and how was it for you?
I got some eyes on college football. I actually got home from hunting right before the noon games kicked off. So I spent basically my entire Saturday on the couch this week. It was pretty awesome. First time I've done that all season.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, to sit on the couch from start to finish and make sure you get into all the college football stuff for the weekend, man. I love to hear that. Also, yeah, football or hunting season coming up, rifle season here in Missouri. Going to be a little bit of a hectic schedule for us here on the network for a couple weeks, but we will definitely not cut you guys short on any of the content. We'll make sure we're still getting in the lab and getting some things done for you. So on this episode, you know how we do things by now. On the review episodes, we're going to do our dog of the week, some Heisman and national championship conversation, some playoff conversation, our main game and our quickie segment. And well known, we got a lot to get to, so let's just flat get right after it. What do you say here, buddy?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right, let's roll here. The first thing we're going to cover on this week's episode is Antoine Raymond, our dog of the week this week. This guy had 41 carries for 240 rushing yards and a touchdown, helping lead his team to a W 35-20 over Maryland. Hey, man, this guy's an absolute stud, and not many people know this name, and they should get familiar with him because this guy, I don't know if he's going to be around on that football team much longer because this guy's got all the intangibles to be a great college running back. So I love what I see in Antoine Raymond in this football game, man. That is why he is our dog of the week. Anything on this guy, Nolan?
Their team, sorry, mute button.
No,
their team ran 75 plays, and he had 41 carries. That is over half of their plays that they just trusted to give this man the ball. Of course, he's the dog of the week.
Absolutely. Hey, and we love kind of getting out there and giving it to some players too every once in a while that people don't always hear of. You're not going to hear in the mainstream media. And this guy, Antoine Raymond, definitely fit the bill for us this week on that. All right, so after we're done with Dog of the Week, let's just roll right into some Heisman conversation, keep talking about some players here. And Nolan, this thing's shaping up, and we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. Feel like it's a pretty top-heavy on the odds race. I am actually shocked that Marcel Reed still sits at number 4. Not really at the number 4 mark, but at plus 700. Man, this team's undefeated. This team just had another ranked win this week. Marcel Reed didn't do anything that cost him the game. Matter of fact, he took care of the football, and he didn't even have to run it that much, Nolan. But when he did, it was a key first down pickup late in the game. I love what I'm seeing from Marcel Reed. So I'll read the top 5 to you real quick. Let's do the top 6 just because I think Jeremiah Smith needs some recognition. But the top 6 is Jeremiah Smith, Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson, Mendoza, and Sayin rounding out the top. Nolan, place one bet right now.
Mendoza. It would be Mendoza. I understand the odds are not great, but I just think, especially if everybody is pretty consensus at this point, the Ohio State defense is the top defense in college football. Everybody's relatively consensus on that because of who they played, who they shut down. Texas Tech has a good argument for that. Alabama has a good argument for that outside of the Florida State game. But I think people are relatively coming to the judgment Ohio State is the number 1 defense in the nation. If Mendoza can even put up a slightly above average game against the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship, I mean, I'm thinking you're going to have to give it to him, right?
Yeah. Here's my thing, and this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler for our later segment talking about the Indiana game. I don't like the stigma that because Mendoza led him on that late drive to win the football game that he should win the Heisman, because my take on this is if you play a Heisman level the whole game, you shouldn't be in that situation, especially against a 3-5 Penn State team. But he did show out and win the football game for his team, leading a big-time drive when he had to. So it goes both ways. I just feel like sometimes we put a little too much stock in that when I feel like guys like Julian saying don't get that chance because they just take care of business the whole entire football game. Same for Marcel Reed.
I don't know. I understand Penn State's not a good record this year, but they're still a good team. They have legit dudes in that defense that the NFL is going to draft very highly. I understand the D line, especially denied Dennis Sutton, got a lot of pressure on Mendoza, and he stood there and just took it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Here's something weird that's going on, Ken. And this is a weird question. Can you guys see our stream? It says that we're not live, but then again, it says that we are live.
Oh.
So I want to make sure that we don't get all the way through this episode and be like, what's going on? I know we had a comment come in here, so I'm assuming that we're live. Yeah. All right, well, I guess we'll just keep rolling. I don't really have a button to end it, so that's weird, but I guess we'll just keep rolling.
Shows we're live on YouTube. I just pulled it up.
Okay. All right, well, let's just keep moving then. All right, so let's talk a little bit of some national championship conversation here, Nolan, and the top 5 on this. Let's do top 6 again. I should say, just keep it similar here. Ohio State, Indiana, Alabama, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Georgia. Nolan, do you feel like it's possible for anybody outside this top 6 to get it?
Outside the top 6, no, because I don't know if you remember. I told you this. Texas Tech, when they play one of the big boys this year, they ain't gonna win. No. Oregon. I mean, Indiana's already proven to beat Oregon, and I believe Ohio State and Indiana are pretty dang close. Bama and A&M, they got just as good a shot as Indiana, Ohio State at beating Oregon. Outside the top 6, I don't think there's any shot.
I don't either, man. I thought I had a little bit of faith in Oregon. I know they're pretty banged up, and that limited them in this football game against Iowa. But I don't feel good about anybody outside of the top 6 either. I think it's top 6 or bust. And I'm honestly going to say remove Notre Dame for me, I think, even a little bit, and about 5 teams on that list, in my opinion.
You think you'd put Texas Tech instead of Notre Dame then? Or I know you're more of a Texas Tech fan than I am.
I think Texas Tech, and I'll stand by this, like I said last week, has the lines of scrimmage. I think they have Big Ten, SEC caliber lines of scrimmage. I was actually really, in my opinion, disappointed with the quarterback play of Baron Morton.
Yeah.
I think he is what limits them when it comes to making a real run in the playoffs and national championship level. I think the difference in the top 4 teams is the quarterback position compared to everybody else. I think C.J. Carr is really good on Notre Dame. I think Gunnar Stockton is an okay quarterback. He's a game manager more so. I think he can go win you he's proven, I should say, that if you need one drive, he can go get it at the end of the game and win the football game. So I think he does enough.
Definition of Georgia football this year. If you need it in crunch time, it is Georgia football.
Yes, 100%. So I think for me, it's really much the top 4 or bust. I don't think it's anything outside of that.
Although, I mean, we just saw this weekend with the ACC, 2 of the top teams went down. I mean, any team could get got every single week. So,
especially at this point.
If you're going to say top 4 versus the field, I'm going to go top 4. I would much rather choose them. But there's always a chance.
I mean, I think we learned, too, that Indiana is very vulnerable at this point, too.
We'll hear more about that in their breakdown, too. But I think it says more about Indiana figuring out a way to win the game than it does like knock against them type thing. Same way I said about A&M early in the season. They figure out a way to win the game. What's it take today? Is it an offense explosion? Our defense got to carry us? Do we just got to grind it out and be 3 points ahead at the end of the game?
I'm going to go ahead and show our playoffs as it would sit today, just because it's the same conversation. I feel, for me, knowing that if you give me Ohio State and A&M in the field at a little bit of plus odds, I would take Ohio State and A&M. And here's why, too, with A&M. I think Ohio State – let me bundle them together again. I think Ohio State and A&M are similar in the sense they have great defenses, good defensive fronts. They have some receivers that can go get you a first down when you need to, and you can rely on them. They have a quarterback that distributes the ball very well. Marcel Reed is a better runner than Julian's saying, so I like that asset of Marcel Reed as well. I think that they don't make very many mistakes, either one of these teams. And I think you see these 2 teams take care of business week in and week out. I don't I have way more answers about Ohio State and Texas A&M than I do questions, and I have way more answers about those two teams than I do any other teams in college football.
Very much so. I completely agree. Although I will say Alabama's looking like if they could figure out a deadly pass rush, they would easily be one of my favorites to win. It's just they got one dude who can rush the passer, and that's about it right now. But also, I know you want to get hot and stay hot kind of all season, but is Bama peaking a little too early here? They've been rolling through. Is this what we expect from them rest of the year, or you think they're peaking and a little too early?
This is what I expected from Alabama this year, week in and week out from the start. I know they got caught by the Florida State buzzsaw at the beginning of the year. That obviously, not taking a shot at your football team here, but it obviously appears that Florida State spent 25, 30 weeks or whatever it is planning for Alabama, and Alabama thought they were going to be able to just kind of sleepwalk through that one, and it was a perfect storm for both teams. So ever since then, Alabama looks incredible. I am with you outside of LT Overton on that defense on the front for Bama. You have some questions. I also think that Bama has some questions in the run game. That's why I don't feel as good about them as I do Ohio State and Texas A&M, which I know that is probably Ohio State's weakest point as well as the run game. They have everything else that is so damn good it doesn't matter. I think with Alabama, I had this on my notes for the football game we're going to talk about with them. I'm starting to have a little bit of concerns about Ryan Williams and him not taking that huge step that we thought was going to happen, where you see as an A&M have Mario Craver and Concepcion, and you see Ohio State have Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith. I mean, these two teams are different, man. And Indiana, as crazy as it is for me to say, it's official that they are also like there's a reason that in our rankings you see right here, we have Ohio State 1, A&M 2, and then Indiana 3 and Bama 4, because I think Indiana is also, I would put them as B and Ohio State and A&M 1A, 1B, and Indiana B, and then Alabama C. So, like, those two teams plus Indiana most of the time are just very, very different.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree. Also, we might have different thoughts about the Alabama pass rusher, by the way. I got a different dude I'm naming off.
Who you got?
Yanze Pierre.
Okay.
He's coming on the last couple. I know Overton is like their big preseason hype.
Yeah.
He just, for all the preseason hype that he's had, he doesn't impress me a whole lot. And he might be getting double teamed. I haven't really looked too super in depth on that one. But Yanze Pierre, I mean, he's turning it on the last couple weeks.
Oh, absolutely. He's been a huge difference maker. So let's talk a little bit. The first four out that we have, if you're not following us on YouTube and you can't see it, we have Miami, Texas, Vanderbilt, BYU, first four out. I think at this point, I don't think BYU finds their way back in unless they make the Big 12 game and win the Big 12 title.
So you're on the same page as me?
No one's grinning. I'm going to be completely honest with you. For the most part, I was with you the whole way. I wasn't as hard on them because they had won all the games they were supposed to win that. It was hard for me to punish them. But, yeah, I had my questions for sure. And Bear Bachmeier and the receiving core was my biggest questions. And if they can't move the ball and get any sort of traction against that Texas Tech defense, them making the playoffs would, in my opinion, kind of be a waste of time. In all honesty, they don't match up well that some of these other teams can. Like I would go as far as saying Miami, Vanderbilt, and Texas all match up a lot better in the playoffs than BYU does. And I don't think much of Texas's team still, just because of so much stale offense that they've had, but that defense is really good. Miami's got the best lines of scrimmage in the country. I still stand by that.
Yep.
Vanderbilt, they're just riding the high, and it's kind of working still. I feel like they should have got this weekend, but here they are again.
Close. So I almost called it.
Yeah, you did, man. It was there. To round out the 5 through 12 spot, we have North Texas at the 12 seed, who would be playing Georgia 5 seed. Texas Tech 8 seed playing Oklahoma 9 seed. Georgia Tech 11 seed playing the 6 seed Ole Miss. Notre Dame 10 seed playing Oregon 7. That would be a great matchup. One thing that Noah and I talked about before we got in here and went live is ACC is doing, and they're going to get one for sure. They're doing everything that they can to like make a case to not get somebody in the playoffs, which is impossible, but good Lord, it's horrible.
Yeah, it just truthfully, if it ends up being a 2-loss ACC team, I would like to see them get the 12 spot, and let's give the G5 team the 11, because
Yeah.
at that point, the G5 team probably deserves it more at that point if we're just going to mess around in the ACC and all lose to each other.
It's different, and I don't want to sound like an SEC homer because I'm not that. I'm a realist. But it's different if you're cannibalizing yourselves as a conference because all your teams look really good.
Yep.
I don't watch any of those teams, and I'm like, man, they would match up really, except Miami when they're on all cylinders and their coaching staff's got it together. And except maybe Pitt now that they did the quarterback change and everything looks like they're flowing at a good rate for them right now. But we're about to find out with the remaining schedule that they have if they can possibly make it happen. Because they have we talked about this already. What was it? Notre Dame,
Georgia
Miami,
Tech, and Miami in that order.
Yeah, they won all three of those games. They're as deserving as anybody after a quarterback change to make playoffs.
I told you last week, Pitt's my ACC representative this year. I think they're going to pull out 2 of those 3 games, and Pitt's really doing some good stuff. And especially, like you said, since they switched quarterbacks, and that's a freshman quarterback, mind you, that they put in. So if they can hang on to him and they can continue playing the hard-nosed style of defense that Pitt always plays, I mean, they could actually be a good ACC team.
Yeah, we're going to find out too. That's why we do this stuff, man. We got to find out. We'll see. They may go in there. We were saying this now. They may go in there and get beat by Notre Dame by 50. We are going to find out. So that'll definitely be on our preview episode. Anything else on the playoffs, Heisman? Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to that? No,
not really. Just want to give shout out to North Texas. Nobody would ever think that they were going to be the Group of 5 representative this year. And so far, they're in the driver's seat as of now. It's Memphis kind of messed it up, but so far, right now, they're in the driver's seat.
They're in our driver's seat right now. I think when you look at the national media and all the other podcasts and stuff out there, everybody's all over the place. I've seen like 6 different teams for this spot.
But we also take into account some of the remaining schedule. We don't just take into account what they've done so far. We're taking into account a little bit of the remaining schedule. That's why we don't have Pitt on here, because Pitt has a much harder remaining schedule than Georgia Tech does. Yes, Georgia Tech plays Pitt. Yes, they play Georgia, but they don't have the gauntlet that Pitt does of Georgia Tech, Miami, and Notre Dame, all 3. I'm guaranteeing Georgia Tech will win 1. There's a chance Pitt doesn't win any of those 3.
Yeah, there's a chance that we don't speak of Pitt ever again, other than on a review episode because they got beat by 30.
So we take into account some of their remaining schedule left then too. We're not just saying, what you've done so far this year. That's where it's different in our playoff bracket as our Group of 5 representative, at least, compared to what we did in the top 25. I'm always looking ahead at some of what's our last 2 games? What's our last 3 games? What's your odds to win? Because then, I mean, you could argue North Texas, you could argue Tulane, you could argue a bunch of different teams, like you said, but it comes down to some of that remaining schedule.
Yeah, and for sure. In our top 25, like you touched on too, when we do our top 25 before we start doing the playoff rankings, our top 25 is exactly what you said that our playoff kind of wasn't. Our top 25 is what you've done based on what you've accomplished in the games you've played so far. Our playoffs, we kind of take it all into consideration. But I'll be honest, I still don't know what is going to come of that G5 spot. Because like we just said, there is so many teams eligible. There's so many 2-loss G5 teams that have shown flashes of being really good. Yep. And then they show flashes of laying it. Like if Tulane didn't get beat by UTSA, I think it was 2 weeks ago, like 30, Tulane's in this spot.
Yep.
So, I mean, we'll see how this all shakes out. And I'm anxious to see because I like the G5 spot a little bit. I know I made the case a while back of the conversation, I should say, of let's just have their own playoffs. And we said that in like week 3.
I still believe that. Because any of these G5 teams, I mean, you're going to go in and play Georgia. You're going to tell me that you got a shot? No. I'm not so sure about that.
No, I'm with you on that for sure. All right, well, let's get into our main game review here. And the first game that I'm still trying to figure out, this is so weird that we can't see live viewers, how long we've been going. But I pulled it up on my phone to make sure we're still there, and we're still there. This is weird. All right, well, we'll just keep going, Nolan. I mean, if we do this just for you and me, I guess we're just doing it for you and me.
Yep, whatever.
First game we're going to talk about here is LSU 9 at Alabama 20. LSU 5-4, Alabama 8-1. Nolan, this football game usually has like tons of build-up, tons of national media coverage, tons of conversation, usually for playoff spots and SEC championship spots. But this one just didn't feel the same. It obviously felt like there was a lot riding for the Alabama situation. We made the joke on the preview episode about take LSU plus 10, made that joke a little bit because LSU's interim coach was bringing in some old players and trying to get them instilled on what it means to be an LSU Tiger. Then you turned the game on, and then you watched the offense again, and it was just the same old boring, inept offense from LSU that we've seen all season.
Yep, big time. Couple notes on the LSU offense. As bad as they were in total, the LSU offensive line actually quietly had their best game all year. They only allowed 3 pressures and 2 sacks, which is a huge, that sounds ridiculous to say. That's a huge improvement on what they've done the rest of the season. They actually played decent. I will say it is very much aided by how quickly they got the ball out. Garrett Nussmeier had 18 completions. 11 of those were behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to not give up pressures and sacks when you got the ball out in half a second to 1 second.
Do you agree with the benching of Nussmeier?
I think it was necessary at that point. I'm not sure it gives you the best chance to win the game by any means, but I think it was necessary at that point that you have to bench Nussmeier. Otherwise, as the LSU team, what are you trying to tell them as the head coach? Let's go out there, let's get something started, let's do this, let's do that. Or you can just say, hey, we're down, man. Let's try and shake something up. Nuss, you're already hurt. I mean, everybody kind of sees that you look hurt. You don't look right. Let's get you out of the game. Let's protect your knee, whatever it is that's going on. And let's get our young guy some playing time in a big game against a good defense.
I just don't think he was playing that bad.
I don't think he was playing bad. I'm not sure I would call it good, but
no, and I think it was definitely trying to switch it up, get a little bit of life back in the offense. I'm just extremely underwhelmed with their skill position guys all across the board. I'm very underwhelmed with their offensive line, have been all season. I think Nussmeier regrets massively coming back and trying to do this again. I think Brian Kelly put a lot of bad habits on this football team. I just don't know what to say about them that's good, besides their defense. Even with that weeks, this defense was still showing up and trying to show out.
Holding Alabama to 20 is an accomplishment.
Yeah,
There's
and
not
Bama
many teams that have been able to do that.
No, but I would say Bama probably played C-plus football for them.
True, yeah.
And still won this football game. But then again, you got to give a little bit of that credit to LSU because they held them to playing C-plus football.
Yeah.
I was just a little underwhelmed at Bama, too, in the sense of this was their chance to make another statement and beat the ever-loving shit out of LSU. And they didn't really do that. But this game also didn't feel 20-9 either.
No, LSU never really had a chance in this football game if you watched any of it. You just knew Alabama was going to do whatever they felt like, and whatever they felt like today was only scoring 20. I'm sure Kalen DeBoer is kind of pissed about this game, if I'm being honest. This would be one that I would really lay into some people Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of, hey, we had a chance to hang 45 and we decided not to. What is up?
Watching some film back
fly once we get to the playoffs.
No, watching some film back there, having some serious conversations. And I don't want to repeat myself, but 2 things I had down on this game. Ryan Williams is not the world beater Ryan Williams that people thought Ryan Williams was.
Is he hurt?
I don't know, man. But the fact that he only has 36 catches for 528 yards and 4 touchdowns, that's okay if you're the number 2 receiver on some teams. That's even okay if you're the number one receiver on some teams. But when you had the name Ryan Williams and you were the biggest topic in conversation right next to Jeremiah Smith and Cam Coleman, buddy, this ain't it. And I'm laying into him a little bit.
Cam Coleman preseason.
Yeah.
It was Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, big 10-foot gap. Then it was Cam Coleman.
Yeah, and I'm laying into him a little bit because there's a real case that he has the best quarterback of all of those throwing to him, especially over Cam Coleman. Yeah. I mean, you could argue, you could sit here and debate Ty Simpson and Julian Sayin, but dude, like you're letting Jeremy Bernard look like Ryan Williams of last year.
Yep.
And we talked about that a little bit after week 1. If you remember that episode, we kind of talked about how the last 3-4 games of Bama's season last year, Ryan Williams really cooled off. Really cooled off and wasn't the focal point as much anymore. So I want to bring that to light a little bit because he's not a name that you're hearing much of right now and had quite a few drops this season so far. And the last thing is Bama's leading rusher at 21 yards in this football game, Nolan. That is a problem going into the playoffs if they stay the course and make it.
Yes, big time. If they can't get the run game going, I mean, they might win their first matchup, but like in our playoff bracket up there, I'm pretty sure it was Alabama, Georgia. That is a tight, close game. And if you cannot run the ball against Georgia and you're just going to be one-dimensional, I mean, that's what Georgia does. They play defense and they run the ball and stop people. It's not going to work for you.
Nope, run that game back. Anything else on this football game?
I want to bring up Jan Pierre again. I know Overton is their preseason hyped pass rusher, but I think Jan Pierre is outplaying him at this point. Can't say that it's because Overton is getting double teamed or anything like that. I don't know. I haven't watched that close to the double team on just Overton, but I do want to give some props to Jan Pierre. He's actually looking like a good pass rusher. And if him and Overton can really get it going, maybe they can defense their way to some wins. I don't know.
The old school Bama ways. Defense finds your way for you. But if you're relying on the defense, that usually means that you got a good run game to try to kill that clock. So we'll see.
True.
We will see how this shakes out. The next game we're going to talk about here is a hell of an ACC matchup we have here. This just goes to show the ACC. I think I have Wake Forest's record wrong on this picture. I do not believe that they are 7-2. I do have that correct. I think they're 5-4, I believe, 4-5, somewhere in that range. I have that wrong on the picture here if you're following with us. But otherwise, Wake Forest did win this one 16-9. And the one thing that I want to talk about is Virginia lost this football game because Chandler Morris takes a cheap shot and gets knocked out of this football game.
14 plays into the game.
Yep. And it just completely ruined Virginia the rest of the way.
Virginia was bound to get at some point this season. They've been skating by. They won on a safety, for God's sakes. Of all things to win on, they won on a safety at one point this season. It was bound to happen. It just sucks that it was because Chandler Morris got knocked out. Their leader on offense, their true leader of the whole team. I mean, you see on the sideline, people are looking up to him. They're looking for some motivation. They're looking, hey, he's still calm. We're good. We'll be fine this game. And only being able to check or score 9 points. What are you doing?
That's so bad, dude. It is so bad. Hey, here I was talking a little bit of shit on Wake Forest. I had to check this. Buddy, I guess I need to get back into it because they're 6-3. They're 6-3.
Their defense, I will say this. If you're watching Wake Forest and they get pressure on the quarterback, they will win the game. All 6 wins, they have 4 or more sacks. All losses, less than 3 sacks.
You know what's crazy, too, is they won this football game with Robbie Ashford having 46 passing yards.
Robbie Ashford sucks, dude.
Dude, Wake Forest's passing game sucks. Wake Forest sucks. The fact that Wake Forest is 6-3 tells you all you need to know about the ACC. I'd let you leave it at that. Also, when you lose Chandler Morris, you're losing a guy that's thrown for 2,000-plus yards, has a QB rating of 135-plus, I believe, 12 touchdowns. You're losing truly maybe one of the top passers of the football in the ACC when he goes out in this football game.
Yeah.
So it completely ruined Virginia, and they just could not recover. And it really put a damper on maybe having a shot at the playoffs.
They're out.
I agree. I'm just trying to keep somewhat kind of optimism for them because the ACC, once again, is that bad where there's still a case. But I feel really bad about it, and I feel really bad about any ACC team, if I'm being honest. So, hey, we have some more messages coming in, so I guess we still are live. Chase comes in, hits us with a chat check like I did, and talking about how I'm looking fly with the Deep Threat Sports Network gear on. Thanks, Chase. Appreciate that. Could have done it without you. So, hey, I guess we're still on YouTube, Noah. Last question on this football game because it deserves like 46 seconds on this game is all we really should have done. 1 second per Robbie Ashford passing yard. So where does Virginia go from here?
I mean, this is going to be terrible analysis, so don't hate me for this. You just continue playing football. I expected you to win 3 to 4 games when I heard about all of your injuries at the beginning of the season. I don't know if people remember on our Locks pod episode, I had thought about taking Virginia under wins, and I think their win total was 5.5. I thought they were going to get 4 or 5 wins. They're already at 7-2. This is a win. Take your wins and just run. Play for next season. Build on it.
Your coach, Virginia's coach, was on our fire list. And just take this season, be happy with it, even if you don't win a game the rest of the way, and build on it a little bit moving forward. Now, that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you win 2 of the next 3, and you end this thing at 9-3 and have a way better season than you ever thought.
Keep in mind, one of their losses is to a non-conference loss. So technically, they are still very much alive for the ACC championship game.
Daniel Kalen comes in to replace Chandler Morris, by the way. We'll see if what they have moving forward. Next level, Leon in here in the chat saying I'm a YouTube watcher. Thanks, Leon, for keeping us updated on the chat. I don't know if you're here in the beginning, we were talking about it. We're just curious if our stream cut out because it's not showing things like it's supposed to, but sounds good, man. Thanks for checking in with us too as well tonight. Next game we're going to talk about here is Oregon 18 at Iowa 16. Oregon 8-1, Iowa 6-3. Talk about another ugly offensive performance. We saw a lot of those this weekend. Mm-hmm. This one we can chalk up a little bit to the weather more so than we can other games.
Weather and injuries.
I was going to say Oregon was just completely decimated across the board. And DeCorian Moore, hopefully for Oregon, their best player on their offense next to Kenny Sadiq. Hopefully DeCorian Moore is not out for the season, gets tweaked up in practice late going right before the game, I think, or the day before the game. Hopefully he's not out for the year because that really puts a damper on the Moore-based offense for Oregon.
Yeah, this is an Iowa football game right here.
We said if Iowa's going to win the game, this is what they had to do, and they did it and still didn't win it.
And I can't believe I flipped my prediction mid-episode last week. I even thought about saying this is going to be just ugly football. It's going to be Iowa football, run the ball, play defense. I wish I would have checked the weather. If I would have known it was going to rain, I would have never flipped. But
dumb of us, dude. Even dumber is we took the over on our book it segment in this game. But it was 40. But we took the damn over. But thank God we went 6-6, or I'd kick my ass for this one.
If it wasn't raining, Oregon still has a good pass game, though. It's just I think the rain really affected it. And like I pointed out in the preview, Iowa plays a very similar defense to Indiana. Dante Moore was affected by the weather first, second by the defense. It's that same defense that Indiana played that kind of confused him and gave him some issues. Was not his best game. It wasn't his worst game. It was much worse against Indiana, but not his best game. It's ugly all around.
Dude, the difference in this score is a safety due to the weather on the snap to the punter going out of the back of the end zone in the first quarter.
Yep.
That's the difference in this football game. Seriously.
Every play matters.
They may still be playing right now if that didn't happen. That's how ugly this was for both offenses. Mark Granowski is still not good. Iowa's offense passing is still not good. they can run the ball okay, and that's about it. Oregon ran the ball pretty good for about 3.5 quarters.
They
And
ran
then
the ball well.
yeah,
I got some
really
stats here for you. Oregon, 7.3 yards per carry. 2.9 of those were offensive line created yards per play.
that's huge.
4.4 yards of those 7.3 yards after contact.
Noah Whittington's a monster. Well, they have a stable of running backs, but Noah
Yes.
Whittington is a load going to the offensive line.
Yeah, I'm blanking. Who's the guy that transferred in this year for Oregon? Was supposed to be their lead back?
Mekhi Hughes. He was
Mekhi
actually
Hughes.
my Doak Walker.
Going to transfer out because he can't get in. That guy was supposed to be a monster. And he's going to transfer out because he can't get enough carries in this great Oregon backfield.
Funny stat for you about Mekhi Hughes. He was the number 3 yards after contact rusher behind the 2 running backs that went in the first round in this year's NFL draft, Marion Hampton and Ashton Genty. That's how good Mekhi Hughes was.
Yep.
And he couldn't pick up the playbook and couldn't get the snaps early enough and just allowed Noah Whittington to go in there and make a name for himself and take this job over. So, yeah, they have a stable of running backs, and I think they're going to lean pretty heavy on that. Also, last thing on this, Dante Moore appeared to hurt a leg. I don't want to say what injury I believe it to be because I don't want to be wrong about stuff like that, but it appeared that he got a little nicked up at the end of this football game on a lower body half. Hopefully he's okay moving forward too. I mean, otherwise, DeCorian Moore gone, Kenny Sadiq's health in question, Dante Moore's. This could get really – Noah Whittington's not that good if all 3 of those guys are gone.
He's good, but he's not like Ashton Genty level good.
No, he's not carrying you to the playoffs.
No.
So hopefully they stay healthy moving forward. Just an off game for Oregon, I think, with the weather. And Iowa's not an easy place to play, and they're not a terrible football team.
Iowa's a hard team to beat. Every week, they're a hard team to beat.
They're a team that you don't want on your schedule.
Yes.
Like you look at them and you're just like, they're not that good, but I know we're going to get their best, and I don't really want to play them there.
Yep.
That's Iowa for you. Next game here, one that I didn't think we were going to have to talk about till the game started.
Mm-hmm.
That is Indiana 27 at Penn State 24. We even made a joke on the preview episode about how, weeks ago we would have talked probably about the Indiana-Penn State game in our preview, but this game doesn't mean much because the team's 3-5. Well, Nolan, that 3-5 team probably should have beat this 9-0 football team in Happy Valley.
They should have. They really should have. Penn State, I told you when we went over some of the Heisman odds and some of the bracket stuff when we were talking about Indiana, Penn State is not record-wise good. They're still a good, talented football team. They could get anybody every week. They got some real dudes on defense, and they showed up, namely being denied Dennis Sutton. That third and fourth quarter, he looked like he's trying to play himself into a top 10 pick.
Which I think I think it's safe to say that he's going to be when he decides to make that happen. I really do. I mean, all the hype was on him coming into the season, and rightfully so. I've loved everything I've seen from him so far. But what were they doing on the last drive of the game defensively? What were they doing?
We were texting each other as this was going on.
What were they doing?
We couldn't figure out what was going on. They didn't bring any extra blitzers, which they did previous times.
All game.
And then they decided, let's just play 20 yards off the line of scrimmage with their safeties. Let's let them complete. Now, props to Charlie Becker coming in and really playing well. Props to Omar Cooper really playing well, especially that last catch. Yeah. But you can't just allow them 15-yard outbreaking routes on the sideline continuously. That's a recipe for disaster. You see it every single week in the NFL in all of our garbage time stuff.
Yep.
And Penn State just decided we're going to play the NFL defense.
That play calling truly lost them the game. And I believe their interim head coach is supposed to be one of their defensive guys. He's their defensive secondary guy, I believe.
Yeah, secondaries coach.
You got to know better in that moment as that coach to completely stop Mendoza. If you allow Mendoza to do that, he's gonna do it.
Yep, and he looked good under pressure too, though. I will say,
I think he has
terrible split all year where under pressure, he looks kind of closer to average, clean pocket. He looks really good, like Heisman level good. He looked like almost Heisman level good under pressure.
They did all this without Surratt.
Yes.
Their number one receiver. Like you said, Becker coming in, and I would say 97% of people that watch college football, if you're outside of guys that, like us that do this, and Indiana fans couldn't even have named him last week, and this week he comes in and he's their hero, in my opinion. I don't think it was the Omar Cooper catch, which, don't get me wrong, probably the catch of the year. I don't think it was Mendoza in this football game. It was Charlie Becker legit making contested catch after contested catch all game long when they needed it the most to move the sticks. That dude needs all the credit in the world. This was just a true gutsy win by Indiana. They were truly battle tested, which I think helps them throughout the rest of the season because they needed to be tested like this.
Yes.
They needed to be shown that they can be beat. That they're used to having their coach beat everybody by 50. So this was one of those moments where I didn't think they had it in them to go do it, and they did it. So credit to them. Also, like I said a little bit earlier, I just hate that stigma of Mendoza wins that. Like Gus Johnson's call. I am not a Gus Johnson fan. Anybody that knows who that is, he's an announcer on Big Noon Kickoff, I think is what he does every week. With I'm drawing a blank. Who's his partner? Joel Klatt.
I just listen for Gus Johnson. I like when he gets excited. I don't like
so
he's
bad.
the one that gave the Maserati Marv nickname. Yeah. God, I hate that nickname. I love when he gets excited though. You the passion and the excitement in his voice. I love it.
Dude, that catch, Omar Cooper's catch broke Gus Johnson, dude.
He did. He went hoarse for a second.
He had so many things he wanted to say at one time, he couldn't get them all out. But I hate the stigma of him making the call, give him the Heisman now and all that shit. Like I said earlier.
Yeah.
If you play Heisman level football all game long, you're not needing a game-winning drive against a 3-5 Penn State team. So that's my take on that. But like I said, gutsy win by Indiana, gutsy win by Mendoza. His post-game press conference was awesome, talking about how he's willing to die on the field for his team and how every hit he took hurt, but he wasn't going to not get up after watching his guys get their heads blown off all game. Awesome, dude. That post-game conference, and I saw it on Twitter. Actually, don't know who had it, so I can't credit things. I don't remember. But that made me a Mendoza fan. I was like, all right, dude, this guy is a gamer. I love this. Go Mendoza.
It's not to the same level, but do you remember Tim Tebow's speech after they lost? How you'll never see anybody work harder than me. I will give 110%. That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, very Tebow-esque. Very Tebow-esque for sure.
And Sig is very Saban-esque. Did you hear his comment? Indiana has never gone to Penn State and won. He said, this team has never played at Penn State. Just a matter of fact, he's pissed off all the time. It's very Saban-esque.
He is always pissed off. And he's very much so the guy that, like, makes reporters not want to go talk to him before or after a game.
Yep.
Like, almost like Belichick, too. Like, you just don't want to talk to that guy, but you have to because it's your job.
Yep.
All right. Well, Indiana, I can't believe you did it. You shouldn't have, but you did. Congratulations. You are still a top 4 seed. The next game, the last game on the main game we're going to talk about here. BYU 7 at Texas Tech 29. BYU 8-1. Texas Tech 9-1. Listen. Said it earlier. Said it every week. I'm going to say it again right now. Texas Tech's defense is the best defense in the Big 12. It's not close. They would be a top tier-ish defense in the Big 10 or the SEC. That is the difference for this football team. And Lil Dicky, Cameron Dickey running the football for Texas Tech also is an absolute monster that helps them win football games because Baron Morton was not good. I will go as far as saying was just not good in this football game.
I 100% agree. Baron Morton is not the reason they won, which is odd because earlier in the year he was throwing the ball all over the field. He looked good.
He was Heisman level.
Now it's the defense and the run game carrying them. But also, I would just like to take a victory lap on this. I've been calling for this for like 2 or 3 weeks. BYU just not win the turnover battle, and look what happens.
Yeah.
They don't win the game.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to point out another dominant aspect of this Texas Tech defense. How many times do you think BYU crossed the 50 in this game?
Oh, dude, it was minimum 3 times.
Twice.
Yeah.
They crossed the 50 twice. They had 7 total plays on the other side on the Texas Tech side of the 50 in this game. It was ridiculous how little they could do.
Well, it's kind of like you just said, when they don't win the turnover margin, which you can say that about a lot of teams, but it's really for BYU the most because you've touched on it for the last 4 weeks.
Games.
They squeak out fumble recoveries. So that went into play. The fact that they only had 67 rushing yards on the ground, and that is where they thrive. That is legit. If they cannot win the turnover margin and they can't rush for 150 yards and they can't do better than 3 for 14 on third downs, that is why BYU is not going to have success against good teams. This is what would happen to them in the playoffs, what you see right here. This Texas Tech defense, David Bailey, is arguably the best in the business, and Texas Tech plays a physical, aggressive defense and gives Big 12 opponents hell. It is unbelievable what they do in the Big 12. They have hit at all of their transfer portals, all their additions on this defense. Fantastic job by their coaching staff to get it done. The real question is, can their offense hold up moving forward? I know and I'm going to give credit to BYU a little bit too. Their defense is very physical as well. Kalani Sitake always has a very physical defense at BYU.
One of the better offensive line coaches in the game as well. They always have a good offensive line at BYU.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just don't. It's the Bear Bachmeier thing a little bit too. I hate to rip on the guy, but he is a true freshman.
Yep.
He is very run first type of guy. His number is like 44, 47, whatever it is. That drives me nuts still. I've bitched about that at least 10 times this season. I want to continue to do it. I don't think he can truly become a true passer until he changes his number. It's got a lot of bad karma on that, dude. Like I just don't think that you're gonna be able to throw it successfully until you get rid of the fullback number. So, these two teams probably will match up in the Big 12 championship still, I think.
I don't know. BYU plays Cincinnati in a couple weeks. Cincinnati, they got the Godfather in the middle.
They do. Dante Corleone's a monster.
Can he shut down the run game at least a little bit by himself?
Not by himself.
A little bit. I'm not asking for 67 rush yards. I'm asking to keep him under 125.
Yeah. Can Cincinnati move the ball on that physical defense too? Comes into play a little bit. We'll save that for when that game comes into play.
Yep, I'm good with that.
I'm tipping the cap to it. I think we see this rematch a little bit, and I think it'd go exactly the same though. Anything else on any of the main games or this game at all?
No, sir.
All right. Well, hey, let's move into our quickie segment here. I can't see how long we've been going because our stream appears to be a little janky tonight. But I feel like we've been at it for about 45 minutes here, so that's perfect timing to get into the quickie segment because we do things quick. The first one we're going to talk about here, Nolan, I think this might be yours, is Cal Louisville.
Yep.
Let me say something real quick, actually, before we even get into the quickie segment. All right, it's kind of part of it. You're not going to hear anything about the Mizzou Texas A&M game here tonight. We were going to touch on it a little bit. We're down a man in Bryant. Bryant was pushing to talk about this game. I'm not. I'm disgusted. I don't want to talk about it. And not just being a baby about it, but part of the reason is because there's not much to talk about. A&M did exactly what 97% of the college football nation thought A&M was going to do to Mizzou. So therefore, we need to touch on it. Mizzou got their ass kicked. Let's move on. Now, back to the scheduled programming. Cal 29 at Louisville 26. Cal 6-4. Louisville 7-2. Nolan, tell me.
The ACC is going to ACC, man. It's just Louisville, another one of those teams that was in the driver's seat for the ACC. They find a way to mess it up. And for Cal, JKS, man, he had another great game. I know he hasn't had a great the last couple weeks, but he really had a good game in this one. JKS, if I am him, I'm leaving Cal. I want out, and I want to go somewhere big next year. Cal, good luck. You're going to pay him $5 million a year, or he's going to leave.
You know what? You know why I'm pissed off? And you know me, I don't ever say JKS. I say it like it is, man. I say Jaron Kiawe Sagapulotele. And I'm going to – you know why I'm pissed at him, Nolan? Because the weeks that I mention him, they lose. The weeks that I don't mention him, they win. So congratulations to you, Jaron Kiawe Sagapulotele. You got a big-time dub here. But you know who's not that good? Miller Moss. This was a miss a little bit on Louisville, I think, in the portal because their receivers are really, really good. And we talked at extensive length.
They're good for ACC. I wouldn't put them on like a SEC or a Big Ten and expect them to go win, but they're good for ACC.
I think LSU, and I'm just picking a random team, I think LSU would take Colin Lacey and Chris Bell right now to walk into their program as their arguably top 2 or top 3 receivers on that football team.
Yeah, I would think they'd go 1 and 2 or like 2 and 3, somewhere around there.
But with that being said, Jeff Brom's also a quarterback whisperer. So this miss has shocked me a little bit. But, hey, LSU, I think it's over for them. And maybe they keep the trains on the track and try to bounce back. But, yeah.
This is the second quarterback whisperer that Miller Moss has had, though, too.
Yeah,
Lincoln Riley is a big offensive guy. He's one of the best quarterback coaches in all of football. And then you go to Jeff Brom, same thing.
Maybe you just don't.
I think that says more about Miller Moss than it does the coach.
For sure. There's a reason that USC was completely okay with Mayava hanging around.
Yes.
The next game on the quickie segment here. I'm trying to refrain from getting pissed off the minute that I click this up on the screen. Washington 10 at Wisconsin 13. Washington is now 6-3. Wisconsin is now 3-6. One reason I'm pissed off is because I had a 4-leg parlay, and all I needed was Washington money line to close it out. If you would have told me that Washington lost to Wisconsin, Nolan, I probably wouldn't have watched any college football on Saturday. I was having an absolute meltdown with the sport of college football on Saturday evening. I was over it. I was completely over this sport for like 3 hours. What is Washington doing? There are times when they look like they could be the third or fourth best team.
Yep.
Third or fourth best team in the Big Ten. And there are times where they're not a top 3 or 4 team in the Big Ten. I do not understand what I'm watching when I watch Washington football. Jonah Coleman, Denzel Boston, and Damon Williams should be a lot better than 10 damn points against Wisconsin. I don't care if it was blizzard-like conditions. I mean, and it kind of was at some points. But I don't care if it was. Wisconsin is horrible. Their leading passer was their punter on a fake punt for 24 yards. 24 yards was the leading passer for Wisconsin, and you lost this football game. I don't even know what to say to you. Not you, Nolan, to you, Washington. I don't know what to say to you, Jetfish. There was 3 weeks ago I was making a case that you could get a better job than Washington. I don't think so anymore, mainly just because of this. This is disgusting. I don't have a good thing to say about Wisconsin other than the fact that you had some fans hang around for jump around in the fourth quarter of this game. This is ridiculous. I am furious still in this moment about this football game. I'm over it, man.
And Washington was one of our darlings in the preseason. This was a game that we all chalked up as a win.
Who didn't? Wisconsin did too.
Yeah.
Luke Fickell and the athletic director chalked this up as a loss for Wisconsin to Washington. This is ridiculous, man. That's all I got to say. Moving on to the next football game. A little pissed off about this next one, too, because I thought I called Memphis being the G5 playoff team at the beginning of the season by myself, and they pissed it away, too. But, hey, Tulane played a fantastic first half. I can't say a full game because they only scored 3 points in the second half. But they came out and hammered Memphis 35-17 in the first half, and it was just too deep of a hole for Memphis to dig out of. These two teams are pretty evenly matched. This is a game that if you didn't watch, you need to watch because this is a high-level G5 game. This is better than watching most ACC games. This is better than watching Wisconsin and Washington. This was high-level football on Friday night. There's no reason you should not have watched this. But Jake Retzlaff looked really, really good in this football game. It has become very evident that Tulane goes as Jake Retzlaff goes. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. I know that's an easy cop-out and cliche to say is, oh, of course, Colin. The team goes as the quarterback goes. No, this one I'm very serious about. When he is not playing at a high level and going 16 for 23 and 332 yards and 3 touchdowns, Tulane doesn't quite look as good. Also, Tulane had 2 explosive touchdowns for over like 53 yards in this football game. Also helped them go get it done here. Memphis, hell of a second half. Just the hole was too deep, man. You had too deep of a hole to dig out of. Lewis got sacked 6 times by Tulane's defense. It was just too much to overcome in this football game. And it's a damn shame because I thought Memphis had what they needed to go to make the playoffs. Last game we're going to talk about tonight is another one that could have went any direction, and that is Auburn 38 at Vanderbilt 45. Auburn moves to 4-6. Vanderbilt 8-2 somehow. No one give it to me.
I was so close. I called this game as the upset for this weekend. It almost happened. We were so close to it. But the Auburn D-line, I don't know what was going on. They didn't play the game that they have all year. They didn't get the pressure on Pavia. They didn't get the stops that they needed, that I was counting on it. And Pavia figured out how to throw the ball. I think that's the real big difference in this game. He had 400, almost 500 yards of total offense by himself. This is the Haynes King stuff we talked about last week on our review episode. Once he figured out how to throw the ball and you started looking at, he's starting to put up some yards, he's starting to put up some stats, they're going for chunk plays. That's when I started to get a little bit more concerned with my upset call. I still thought there was a chance. Obviously, it went into overtime, but we just needed a couple more stops, man. The D-line needed a couple more pressures. That's all I was asking for.
Yeah, for sure. It's a damn shame. I was ready to move on from this Vanderbilt team, man. We had it.
Yep. It was close. It was so close.
I had a comment a second ago when I was talking that I hear you say couldn't catch roadkill. Maybe when I was talking about Wisconsin and the Washington game, it's possible. I don't think I did, but it's possible. It was like watching roadkill. I'd rather eat roadkill than watch that game again. Anything else on these games this weekend? No, it was nuts, dude. It was like watching JV football, and then there were games that were just had you on the edge of your seat that somehow the better team found a way to edge it out.
It seems like every time we might think, hey, this might be a little bit down weekend, it's pretty chalk this weekend. That's when the craziest stuff happens. Like Indiana, Penn State, both ACC leaders losing. It just, every time we think there's a down week, college football shows us, hey, you got to continue watching. We're still playing some football here.
Buckle up. The parity's still here. That's exactly what happens. All right. So wrapping this episode up. Make sure you're getting our merch link. We'll have it here in the link after the episode goes up on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, which is all Deep Threat Sports. Make sure you're getting you some good stuff. If not, hey, there's still a chance for anybody to go win this thing and get some gear from us that we're going to take care of you on. So make sure you're doing that. That'll end here before too much longer. All you got to do is leave a comment, man, a review. Tell us how great we are. Tell us how bad we suck. If you tell us how bad we suck, probably not going to pick you. But if you tell us how great we are, you got a pretty good chance to make sure you get your name in the hat for us to pick you and get you some cool gear off of there. 2 winners. You ain't got to pay for it. We just need your sizes and what you want. And we're going to take care of you. You can follow us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Deep Threat Sports, XDT_sports_, Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network. Probably be back with you guys on Thursday night. Thursday night, probably going to do the preview episode and get that wrapped up before we all head out of town for the weekend to do some deer hunting for rifle season here in Missouri. Get that wrapped up, get you underway for the weekend ahead. Also, when I end this episode, I don't even have an end episode button right now, Nolan, with how glitchy the system's being right now. Good. So before you take your shirt off and get all good looking when it's just me and you on the camera like Bryant does whenever we end our shows, maybe keep the clothes on just because I don't know how this is going to end. You may not even see me again. So if not, see you on Thursday. But, hey, that's Nolan. I'm Colin. Until next time, peace. I have no